What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I am going to talk about something different, not really the typical content that you see on my channel. This is not about a single game in general, as this is more about what I've learned and what I've experienced in trying out different games through the course of 2024. If you have been a subscriber to my channel, you know that in 2024, I've made a lot of game reviews about different mobile MMOs, talking about the features, why this game is something that everyone needs to play, and so on. And the most common response that I see in the comment section is either, "Oh, this game is a copy of this game," or "This game is soulless and nothing more than a cash grab game." To be fair to those people, they are right about those comments. Majority of the games that came out were merely a copy or inspired by an old game. Now, to be fair as well to the developers or the companies that are making those games, this type of copycat style is not really new. This happens in every aspect in life, not only in the gaming industry. When something blows up and becomes very successful, most of the time, other people will start to copy that formula, hoping that they will also get the same result. As a sports fan, the best example that I can give you is the Golden State Warriors. When they won their championships, the other teams started copying their playstyle, started jacking up a gazillion trees, thinking that they can mimic the same formula and get the same results. Unfortunately for them, they didn't have the number one variable required for that formula to work. And that is the greatest shooter in history, Steph Curry. So obviously, the moral of the story is that even though you copied something that is successful, it doesn't mean that it will yield the same results. But that's not always the case in life, especially in gaming. Like for instance, Astrobot, the game that won Game of the Year for 2024, is not really something that you can call an original game from Sony. Astrobot is heavily inspired by one of Nintendo's most iconic game, and that is Super Mario. There were so many videos that were posted last year pointing out the similarities between the two games, and yet, Astrobot still won Game of the Year over the likes of Black Myth Wukong, Metaphor ReFantazio, and Final Fantasy VII. So contrary to my first example earlier, copying something or using something as an inspiration is not really bad or is not really going to result in failure. As long as you put something that is fun, captivating, and most of all, a high-quality game, people will play and support that game. That is why whenever I read comments like, "Oh, this game is similar to this game," in my mind, well, that is just a normal thing in gaming nowadays. Like, I can give you a lot of examples of successful games right now that are heavily inspired or copied from other games. Like, Path of Exile 2 is basically a copy of the Diablo game, but better. The hottest shooter game right now, Marvel Rivals, is heavily compared to the Overwatch franchise. I mean, the Ragnarok games right now in the market are all inspired by and copied from the original Ragnarok Online from back in the early 2000s. Of course, some are successful and some are not. So it doesn't necessarily mean that if a game is copied or inspired from another game, that that game is automatically bad or a failure. No, that's not how it works. If that game has a better quality, better functions and features, better graphics than the original game, then most of the time, that game will be successful. So I don't really think that this is the main issue when it comes to bad games. However, when we are talking about the second comment that I typically receive, which is this game is a soulless cash grab game, I personally think that this is where the root of all the problem lies. Because let's be honest, all the games that are coming out right now are all pay-to-win games. But before I go on, I just want to note that I am not against pay-to-win games. because this is how games are being monetized nowadays. This is how companies and developers get paid from producing or developing a game that we play. This is a typical cycle that we encounter every day. People provide a service, they get paid, that's it. That's how the world works. So I don't want to hear people complaining about, oh, games should be free. I mean, dude, this is not a charity case. These people develop games for a living. They have people to support and families to feed. The mobile MMOs that are coming out nowadays are already free to download and free to play. It's up to the player's discretion if they want to spend money into those games. So let's not act like the game should be 100% free. How the heck will companies get their investment back if they don't place a monetization system into their games? It's like you're working your butt off 8 to 5 every single day, and you're telling me it's okay not to get paid? Come on now! But anyway, going back to the original topic, I think the main reason why most games coming out are soulless cash grab games is because most developers are more focused on the business aspect instead of what the consumers want. Remember, there are two sides of the spectrum in gaming. You have the consumers, which are the players, and the producers, which are the companies or developers of the game. If the producer puts out a high-quality game, regardless if it's pay to win, consumers will still play that game. I think what they need to understand is, if people really love a game, they will support that game willingly and they will not hesitate to spend money on that game. The big problem is, most companies and developers don't see that. Instead, they create, copy, or launch half-baked games which are more focused on the monetization aspect instead of the quality. That is the perfect recipe for a soulless game. I think the best example of that is the Ragnarok game, which was launched last year. I mean, remember when they launched the game and they had to make an emergency maintenance on the same day? Then they had to give 50 million zenny as compensation to the players. And when you play that game, the only nostalgic part is the graphics and nothing more. The movements and the interface were bad and clunky. I felt like the Ragnarok Online back in the early 2000s were a lot better. And yet the game is filled with monetization and pay-to-win features. I mean, if you go to the app and Play stores, this game is probably the lowest rated Ragnarok game available, which is understandably so. I think this is the best example of a soulless cash grab game that banks on the player's nostalgia for the game to be a success. But not every game that was launched last year was like this. There were a lot of promising and great mobile MMOs that were pay to win, but have captivating graphics, great functions and features, and have a better performance. So to conclude this video, I do agree with the people's sentiments that some games are a copy of old games. Some are good and some are bad. I also agree that some games are soulless and cash grab games. But there are games that are pay to win, and yet it provides a more better gaming experience than others. At the end of the day, this will really depend on the player's preference. If they really love a game, even though it is half-baked or full of monetization features, they will stick with that game. And it's fine. That is their choice, that is their own decision. Just enjoy the game that you like and have fun with it. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, and if you want to see more gaming discussions, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. GG!
You're a superhero.